I tell Dudmeat, this is where Dr. Bull said to meet him, in the geekery, where the alleys intersect. Dudmeat confirms, this is the place. Nearby, a full-size wooden cross is planted in the dirt. The relic is riddled with stained nail holes in the ends of the crosspiece and the footblock. Dr. Bull emerges from the pedestrians wearing his black hood. He leans casually against the killing piece of memorabilia. Through the mouth hole in the mask, he says, "You wanted to talk?" I tell him, "Man alive, look at that thing. And they still do that? With nails and all?" He assures me, "That's how it's always been done." Who do they do it to now? Well, there's never been an end to volunteers. Didn't you notice those folks you passed on your way in here? Yeah, but this thing, whoa. They actually, if you'd like to watch, I can arrange it. I don't think so. But what kind of people would allow this to be done to them voluntarily? The Bull Man brings up a montage on my Envision. The street of an Italian village filled with men flogging themselves. Loinclothed adolescents crawling on bloody knees on a cobblestone street. A shirtless Native American hangs from a line hooked into the skin on his chest, stretched to the ripping point. A kneeling Buddhist is engulfed in fire, falters for support on one hand before collapsing in the flames. A pale nurse lies motionless on a cot next to emaciated Africans with bulging eyes. Blank stares on all the faces. A soldier throws himself across the prostrate bodies of a woman and child, taking the bullet that was meant for them. That's true, I say, but for most candidates, they have no choice in the matter. They're just innocent victims. There's nothing voluntary about it. You're right, says Dr. Bull, and more images appear. A woman is beheaded by the stroke of a scimitar. A pile of decaying bodies is bulldozed into a pit. Skulls are stacked neatly on the bed of a truck. A priest giving mass is machine-gunned by men in army fatigues. A row of skeletal wrists and hands are shown bound together with rusted barbed wire. A hand grenade is tossed into a classroom filled with children. Scores of men with machetes hack off the limbs of men, women, and children. A city is on fire as far as the eye can see. A mushroom cloud rises over a metropolis. So, as you can see, says the Bull Man, voluntary or involuntary, there's no end of candidates. But this isn't what you came to talk to me about, is it? You said it was something about a game and a co-branding opportunity. Yes. As you know, I'm in the action game business and I have some ideas. Hey, I love the hood thing. That's a real attention getter. What with all the mayhem and all, and so I was thinking about how to tie it all together into an action game. And besides, I wanted to know more about you. What would you like to know? Asked Dr. Bull. What you believe in all. What I believe about what? Well, what with everybody talking about change and all, what's your view on change? Yes, as a matter of fact, things are changing. So then, you believe in evolving and all that kind of thing? I'll tell you, he says. I considered the options, to believe in evolving or not to believe in it. And after looking around, well, just looking around, that alone, that was the clincher. But tell me, Vinny, things are changing for you too, aren't they? Yes, I tell him. But let's talk about you, Dr. Bull, about how you see things evolving. So then, do you believe that whatever happens just sort of happens? So then, Vinny, he says, are you recording this? You mean right now? Well, actually, I have been making a video diary, so naturally, of course, everything I do is part of it. And the reason, he asks? I just need to make sure of some things, to make sure things don't get lost. Now he's getting curious about me and asks, "You're losing things, Vinny?" "Yes, actually, I have lost some things recently." "Really?" "Yes, I've lost quite a lot, actually." Again he asks, "So you're making a record of this?" "Yes, I'm making a record of what I'm losing and how people are treating me." "How are people treating you, Vinny?" Since he's obviously interested, I tell him. Well, for example, people are treating me like I'm not even here, like I have some dread disease. Even Helper doesn't recognize me half the time. I was nearly blown up. My Sig one disappeared. I'm holed up in a scroungy motel. And then these guys attacked me with a knife. I was attacked by wild dogs. After that, I had the skin cut right off my back. People have no idea what I've been going through. Dr. Bull, shaking his head, tells me, "Everyone knows. Everything you're recording. It's all right there on Envision. But you know that, don't you? So, Vinny, why do you really want to talk to me?" "It's just that I thought there might be an opportunity. I mean, with all the changing and evolving and everything, I was thinking, hey, maybe." The Bullman says, "Stop. Is there something going on here, Vinny?" He puts his hand on my shoulder. "I think there's more going on here than you're telling me, and that might actually be interesting. Look, call me when you want to talk about what's really going on." He turns and disappears back into the crowd. Immediately, I get a call from Vida. She is not happy and says, "That was just great, Vinny." And then she clicks me off. I tell Dud Meat, "This place is creeping me out. How do I get out of here?" He leads me out of the geekery, back into the heart of the flea market. Away from all the geeks, I remark, "Things are changing so fast around here." He says, "Market forces at work." I tell him, "Well, I'm really lost now. Who are all these people, and where are they coming from?" "It's the expansion." "I thought this was a flea market." "Business is fleeing here from the expansion." "Well, why doesn't business just expand right into the expansion?" You could ask yourself that question. What are you doing here, Vinny? I explain, I was out of regular options. I had no choice. Hey, there's Sis and the albino again. I shadow the pair at a distance through the shop-filled alleyways. They pause in front of a hardware stand. The albino picks up a man-long length of chrome-plated chain. He tests its strength and smacks an end against his palm. He looks at Sis, laughs, and hands her the chain. She wraps the links around both hands and gives them a yank, nodding approval. He buys the chain and coils it tenderly around her neck. She looks happy. I follow them as they continue on. The alley narrows. It's getting harder to track them. Over the sea of heads, her spikes turn a corner and disappear through a doorway. A sign reads, "Bod abuse. Come as you are and you'll never be the same again." Inside the shop, business is booming. Waiting customers lie on rows of surgery cots along the aisles. Flashes of flesh-cutting tools bounce off the opaque eye protectors of body artists. Overhead, video displays feature flesh sculpture tattoos. A pair of cobras protruding from a man's back. The four horsemen of the apocalypse emerge between a woman's breasts. An exterior throbbing heart, traced with red and blue arteries, pulses on a man's chest. On a fashion runway, anorexic models strut their stuff. An emaciated model in mandarin red bra and panties exhibits her flesh-sculptured heads of a jackal and iguana riding shotgun on her right and left shoulders. I see Sis and the albino exiting at the back of the store. Men waiting in line for genital enhancements block my way. I try to push my way through and get shoved back. I ricochet off a display of wang wongs thick as my wrist. Where are they? I'm losing them. A vendor thrusts his open palm in my face, his fingers pinned in a line like bolted fence posts. I roll past a fat woman with a pair of 6-inch jaw rings looping from her overburdened lip. She shoves me out through the exit. That was the last I saw of them. It's night and I'm sweating as I climb the motel stairs. I pause at my parents' door. Their window is dark. I go into my room and fall on my bed. I tell Dud Meat, I don't get it. All those people doing those things to themselves, right there in front of everyone. And Sis with that, I don't know what he is. I mean an albino with black chest hair. And that chain. What are they going to do with that chain? That's my little sister with that guy. Oh man, I just don't know anymore. Lying there, staring at the ceiling, I call Ice and tell her, hey, I found out where you are. Yes, she says. I say, you look different. The tan. Yes, something like that. Look, I tell her, about your leaving, I've been thinking. She says, it was time to go, Vinny. Maybe, but remember that first time we were together? I mean, when we were really together? I know that she knows what I'm talking about. I remind her, you never had to stay with me. That's rule number 1 for everyone. No one has to stay with anybody. I mean, you could have been with everybody as far as that's concerned. Listen, Vinny, I have been with everybody. And you know what? They're all just like you. Believe me, when you've been with one pub buddy, you've been with them all. Why did you stay with me for as long as you did? I asked. I thought there was a chance. Maybe you might be different. Someone I could count on. But you don't even know who you are. I am, I insist. Who are you? Temp name Vinny Vanilla. I. Couldn't you hear me, she says. I couldn't have yelled it any louder. Vinny, can I count on you? And what did you answer? I have to be with you, but they won't let me go. There's this whole nother project. I'm blacklisted at all the airports, but I'm coming to you. Believe me, Ice, Should I count on that, Vinny? If you can count on anything, you know where I am. There's a knock on my door. Sis says, Vinny, I have to use your bathroom. Mom has him chained to the toilet and I need to go. I go next door. Mom is standing guard outside the bathroom door. Surveillance shows the two of them behind the door on my InVision. Dad in a forced embrace of the toilet bowl where he's bound by handcuffs, his chin resting on the edge of the lid, and Marzipan kneeling on top of the lid, peering down on him. Mom motions me closer to the door. Inside, I can hear Dad reassure his dead lover, we still have each other. Mom is loving this. I tell her, okay, you've made your point, but you can't keep him prisoner forever. Prisoner? He's in heaven with his angel. I reach for the doorknob. She says, if you go in there, I'll call them. I swear I will. I say, call who? She says, just you find out. I haven't been able to sleep, and it's getting toward dawn when I get a call from Mom. Vinny, I have something to tell you. I brace myself as she launches into her standard diatribe about Dad. I want you to know that it hasn't been easy living with your father, trying to make something of the man, in spite of everything, knowing that I'm stuck with what he actually is, and now, this little dalliance. Lord knows I've tried. But now there's a kink in her standard script as she stops to swallow. And maybe I haven't always been the perfect wife either. Be that as it may, I want you to know that I've had a change of heart. I sit up in bed. She's got to be kidding. Then she goes on, it's about time for me to face up to reality. Okay, your father has found a new love. You know, they say that love conquers all, and maybe that's right. Maybe he's doing the right thing after all. Anyway, I have myself to think about now, and I've decided that it's in my power to turn all of this recent unpleasantness into something positive. So, that's just what I'm going to do. And to help make amends, I was thinking of having a little celebration. Just family, nothing fancy, just a little party to acknowledge that things are going to be different from now on. I ask her, do you think Dad will go for that? I've already talked to him. In fact, I even told him he can bring his thing. In the motel breakfast space, I watch Mom tape a banner on the wall. It says, whatever, here we are. The albino pours champagne into paper cups. Dad sits across the room warily eyeing his wife. On InVision, Marzipan is seen behind the old man, her arms draped over his shoulders. Mom serves up cake and ice cream on paper plates, handing 2 servings to her husband. We eat. Things begin to lighten up. Mom raises her cup toward Dad and says, I want to make a toast. To family and friends. Let bygones be bygones. Life is too short. Let's just try to get the most out of one another while we can. So, with this in mind, I was thinking of this little surprise. Dad says, boy, you never know. I say, you can say that again. Sis gives the albino a squeeze and says, you know, it was Vinny who encouraged me to reach out for a friend because you never know, it could be anybody. I mean, right here in this old motel even, and I might not even have known because all the time I was thinking about only myself because I never even opened my eyes to look around and really see if anybody could really be right there for me already, right in front of me. Wow. And so I have a little announcement to make how incredible it has been to open up myself to all of life's unlimited possibilities. I mean, how incredibly mind-boggling it really is once I actually found someone. So I have some news too. Al and I are going into business together. She toasts the albino and gives him a kiss on the cheek. I ask, what kind of business? Al says, family services. I ask him, what's your part in the business? Of course, your sister's going to do the part that only she can do, and the rest is up to me. Sis says, Al is a real business guy, let me tell you, and he knows so much because he has all these contacts and knows these incredible places where you can get things you never even imagined before, and he's advising me and listening to me like no one ever listened to me before. And you know, it's even more than listening because he's hearing, and that's what he does even better than anything else. Al hears me. I'll drink to that, says Dad. And to Marzipan, says Mom, tipping her glass toward the dud. I say, Mom, you mentioned a surprise. Well, it was going to be a surprise. Excuse me. She turns away to talk to someone on her InVision. What? Yes, the motel. Sure, anytime. Now we'll be fine. I'm sorry, Vinny. You were saying? Something about Dad? Yes. What this little party is all about. Okay, after all of these years, your dad has found someone new. And I've accepted that. But the question remains, what can I do? And if I'm not the one for him, well, I'm not the kind to throw in the towel, even if I'm just getting older and poorer every day. So I've done some soul searching, thinking, what can I do to turn all of these bad feelings into something really positive for me? And then I saw the light, that everyone must have a purpose. Everyone's got to be good for something, even your father. The buzzer rings at the check-in desk, and Al disappears around the corner. A voice says, "In there." And three jackbooted men in black uniforms with black ski masks, sidearms, and tasers attached to military belts barge into the breakfast space. One holding a clipboard points to Dad and says, "The old guy with the dud." I tell him, "You can't do this," and he puts his hand on his taser. Sis says, "If you even touch him," and another one takes a step toward her. She's silenced. Dad tries to resist as two of them lift him under his arms. Marzipan claws at them with all the virtual violence in her. One of them asks, "What do we do with the thing hanging around his neck?" "Forget it. It's a dud." The man with the clipboard pulls a black sack over Dad's head, and they drag him away. I look at Mom and ask, "You?" She shrugs. "Well, he's got to be worth something to somebody." I ask her, "What for? For money?" "Money from who?" Her eyes narrow. "How much can you lay your hands on, Vinny?"